John Bow, Alan Jones. Row number 3, it's Neil Crompton and the Castrol pilot Russell Ingle. From row 4, let's hope he has better luck this time out for Glenn Seaton and Castrol Falcon driver Tony Longhurst. Rounding out the 10, a privateer row, Stephen Richards and the Alcare entry of Greg Crick.
And it's with deep regret that we must report the death of one of Australia's most liked and respected members of the Australian motor industry, Mr. Evan Green. In the early hours of Saturday morning, Evan succumbed to a very long and fearless battle with cancer. To his wife Yolanta, his children and family, the Seven Network, and I'm sure anyone associated with motoring and motorsport, offer our sincere condolences.
Just about ready for the start of Heat 2. Who will it be, Lowndes or Brock into turn number 1? Green light, and it's the master on the outside. Peter Brock and teammate young gun Craig Lowndes into turn number 1. The kid manages to scrape through. Brock right alongside, and there you see all 19 V8 touring cars contesting this round at Symmons Plains. Larry Perkins, a positive start. The Castrol entry moves up to occupy position 3, but it is Lowndes, winner of heat number 1, your current race leader. Brock, Perkins, Bow, Gardner, Seaton.
Well, the mobile HRT cars leapt off that grid side by side for a good 50 metres before Lowndes was able to get a little gap on Brock and cover his territory. Alan Jones missing from the grid just in those final minutes of the warm-up lap. He's headed into the pits and apparently out of the race. So a great disappointment for Pack Leader Racing. Jones set to leap from 4th position on the grid. So it's Lowndes, the destroyer from Heat 1, setting off in good form in Heat 2. Brock behind him. The Castrol Commodore, this Crompton in the Coke car in car 7, and Seaton a much better start in the Ford Credit Falcon. He's up in the top 5 as well.
And the big loser in the pack's really John Bow, who's been shuffled back a little bit off that start. Ingle seems to have got a great start, just edged out Crompton. But Glenn from the second row is also slipped by John Bow.
So Crompton all over the back of the Castrol Commodore. Goes a run on the outside, very, very deep under brakes. Ingle's got the line into this corner. He may run Crompton wide onto the Armco. They're side by side as they come out. Seaton takes advantage too. So Ingle loses 2 positions in 1 manoeuvre. And Seaton now on the charge, tucks up behind the wing of the Coca-Cola Commodore as they head down the back straight once again. Ingle recovers, and you've got Bow coming up the inside. As we take race cam, Glenn Seaton right up behind Neil Crompton's Commodore as they head through Coca-Cola corner and back toward the pit straight. 1 lap down, this will be 2 down as they come across the line with Craig Lowndes well in control.
Certainly Lowndes and Brock already establishing a handy lead out front. That's the car of Neil Crompton, the Coca-Cola VR Commodore. We're riding with Glenn Seaton, I can tell you, right on the hammer of Seaton. There's the man, defending series champion John Bow. As Brad said, he was the big loser from the start. He was to start from position number 3. He's been relegated back to 5th on the circuit.
Up on the back straight once again, Seaton looking serious here. It's just as close to Crompton as they come through the sweeper toward Coca-Cola corner. Maximum braking from high speed, 240 kilometres an hour back to this very slow corner and pit straight. Big brake lock up from Crompton there. Seaton gets his wheel up on the curb strip as he tries to look down the inside of the Coca-Cola Commodore. Bradley looking at the back of that Coke car, it's wobbling around a bit.
Certainly moving around a fair bit. What we need to keep in mind here is a lot of these people haven't had time to set their cars up for the circuit, of course, because the circuit was wet yesterday. But Neil's certainly got his hands full there. I notice it's burning up a tyre under brakes as well, which means that it's not stopping all that well at the end of the straight.
Big attack. Seaton, flames belching from the exhaust as he works back through the 6-speed transmission. Tries to close on Crompton. Crompton gets a good corner exit speed out of Brambles. Seaton goes with him. The Coca-Cola Commodore well and truly a match in a straight line for the Falcon. We saw last time around a big brake lock up from the Coca-Cola Commodore as we take race cam once again aboard the Ford Credit Falcon. Crompton moves over to take up his line. There's a brake locking up in front of him too. That's Brock. So maximum pressure here for Neil Crompton. Glenn Seaton filling the mirrors of the Coke Commodore as they come onto pit straight once again. 4 laps completed for our race leader Craig Lowndes. Brock in second. Here's the battle for 3rd and 4th.
Once again we see the tail of the number 7 Coke Commodore out nice and wide. Midway through the corners, Neil Crompton a lot happier with his package than what he was earlier in the day. Glenn Seaton has a peak on the outside, not to beat this time around. Will he duck back low? Yes, in fact, he tries that, and that's where he had success earlier in passing Russell Ingle. They once again head down the back straightaway. Time to hit top gear, hit top speed on a very quick and uncompromising Symmons Plain circuit.
Well, he's picked a good car to draft behind Bradley Jones. There's no shortage of grunt from these Rob Benson Chevy V8s in the Coke cars.
So there's a little bit more of a brake lock up there. Crompton's using a maximum amount of road there to try and stay in front of Glenn, but there seems to be nothing between them as far as straight line speed is concerned.
So here's the battle for 7th, 8th and 9th. Tony Longhurst in the Castrol Falcon. He's got that very rapid private here. Stephen Richards, plenty of smoke coming from the back of the car as he brakes for turn 1. Up under the footbridge, down toward Brambles once again.
Perkins, Longhurst, Richards, Gardner. There's Crick, Scaife and Johnson in arrears. So Larry Perkins, after a disappointing heat earlier on in the day.
There's Wayne Gardner ducking down the inside of Stephen Richards. He'd be on a charge, very pumped up. Steve comes back. He's not going to put up with that. So he gets an excellent run out of Brambles. They'll be side by side through the sweeper once again. Steve Richards in the ex-Freddie Gibson Motorsport Commodore, and they're side by side as they head down toward brakes. Gardner's got about a quarter of a car length in front, but Richards has a good line on the inside. Will Gardner try and squeeze them as they come through? Richards still alongside, even side by side as they come back onto the pit straight once again. It's been going on for a few hundred metres now, but eventually Gardner just enough to sneak through on the inside.
That allowed Mark Scaife right up on the tail of young Stephen Richards. And Richards has got a big job in front of him because right behind Scaife is Dick Johnson.
Well, this is a really tight battle here. Mark Scaife, we all pumped up that accident with Gardner in the first heat. Furious when he got out of the car, throwing his helmet on the ground. Very, very upset. As you imagine, Gardner probably was too. And nothing fires a racing driver up, Brad, than something like that.
No, bit of swabbing paint. There's nothing worse.
There's Wayne Gardner leading this posse. He is position 9 on the racetrack, and no doubt a very tired young man. He only arrived back from Japan on Friday, where he was testing the Toyota Supra. Glenn Seaton, race cam, looking out the front of the car, and there's Crompton. This battle has raged for the last couple of laps, and Neil holding on to a slender advantage.
Actually, I think Neil's doing a very good job here. Glenn was one of the few people that was capable of running in the 54s in the earlier race, as well as Craig Lowndes, and Neil's just holding him up nicely.
And here comes down the inside John Bow, and Dick Johnson, his car 17, tries to get a run up the inside of Stephen Richards' Valvoline Commodore. Gets a little bit left behind as they get the power down out of Brambles. And yes, plenty of speed. The Valvoline Cummins Commodore. This is a great run from a privateer. Company running in 11th position. And top place privateer. All level 1 teams ahead of him. Dick Johnson, hard at work in Shell 17. We take Dunlop Race Camp. This veteran of touring car racing, hard at work around Symmons Plains Raceway. There's Steve Richards just up ahead of him. Another lock brake. He's been doing that the last few laps, Brad.
Well, the car's an ex-Gibson Motorsport car, and if you set the thing up similar to Scaife makes them so they power down really, really well. But the car seems to be a little unbalanced coming into the braking area, and hence locking a wheel every now and again.
So we've got battles going up and down the field. This one's for Corker. It's been going for quite a while. Seaton, very quick out of Brambles that time. He's not quite fast enough to get upside Crompton through the sweeper, but he'll have another attack under brakes. Crompton right in the middle of the road, not giving Seaton any options. Seaton up on the ripple strip, very, very close to the back of the Coke Commodore. Terrific battle this for 3rd and 4th position. Crompton hanging on, 55.7.
Good clean racing. There's been a few places where Seaton perhaps could have been excused for diving in a little quick, but he's got a lot of respect for not only his vehicle but for Neil Crompton's, and it's all clean thus far.
Glenn looks to be carrying a little bit more speed across the corner, but he's not braking any later than Crompton. He's certainly not being able to get on the power or have any more straight line speed, so it'll be very frustrating for Glenn. About now is where he's carrying the more speed. You can see that he's trying to duck to the inside there to get up the inside of Neil, but he just can't do it. So it's pretty frustrating where he is. We'll just just have to wait and see what happens. Hopefully tyre wear will play a big part in this.